Want to know why smart midlife professionals choose the wrong next step and how to avoid it? Welcome back. If you're in midlife and you've been questioning your career, exploring new income opportunities, or even wondering what your next chapter could look like, you're in the right place. My name is Denny Medeiros, and every week I talk about how to build your next step, your next chapter, without blowing up the life you worked so hard to build. Last week we talked about choosing the right income path. I want to talk about something that's quietly gets in the way of making good decisions, and that's choosing from pressure instead of purpose. Now, a few years ago, I caught myself doing something that I think a lot of people do. Every few days, I discover a new opportunity. I'd think, maybe this is it. I'd watch videos, read articles, start planning. Then I'd discover something else. Suddenly, I'm convinced that was the better option. Looking back, I wasn't really making decisions. I was reacting to whatever seemed most exciting or most urgent in that moment. Maybe you've experienced that too. One day you're convinced coaching's the answer. The next day, it's affiliate marketing. Then someone tells you AI is changing everything. So you wonder if you're already behind. It becomes exhausting, not because there aren't opportunities, but because every new idea feels like the one you can't afford to miss. That's when I realized something important. I wasn't lacking information, I was lacking a process for making decisions. I think that's where many smart, capable midlife professionals actually get stuck. Not because they aren't intelligent, because they're trying to make important decisions while carrying that pressure, that uncertainty, and urgency all at the same time. So, why do smart people still make poor decisions? Have you ever noticed that stress changes the way we think? When we're under pressure, our brain starts looking for relief, not necessarily the best solution, but more for the fastest solution. There are a variety of things that can make us feel a lot of pressure. Here's some: feeling trapped in a job. Anybody ever have financial pressure? You worrying about retirement, watching what others appear to do and move ahead with, feeling like you're running out of time. See, those feelings are real. I felt them all myself. But here's what I've learned: urgency is a terrible career coach. Urgency tells us to move quickly, while wisdom tells us to move intentionally. And this is where I think many people accidentally sabotage themselves. They aren't choosing what fits them, they're choosing what promises to end the discomfort the fastest. Now, I've experienced something similar. Right? I've chased opportunities because they seemed like just the quickest answer rather than the best long term fit. I'll tell you about one. Before I started, or before I started this particular business helping midlife professionals as a career coach, I took a labor job. And I took this labor job because I was unemployed for almost a year. Things weren't happening. And it's a position that came to me. I had done labor work in the past many years ago. This one seemed to pay about $5 more per hour than the average labor job. So another thing that attracted me to it was I'm actually going to be making an income when I hadn't been making an income in almost a year, right? And then I also was 15 minutes away from home because it's close to home, less commute time, and I could potentially still work part time on a side gig. So it was appealing in that sense. What happened? I think it was the worst decision I almost ever made. I was in pain every day, basically for 8 months. Swollen ankles repeatedly, swollen knees, reactivated my back injuries because I have a couple of back injuries. Uh, I got a new elbow injury. And it required to take days off because of those injuries and health issues of that nature. The work environment was also toxic. I was being mistreated by the team leads daily. It didn't even seem like a friendly place. Most of the staff were unfriendly. And like I said, because of my missed work and injuries, I was terminated within 8 months. So when I think about it, what did I learn? Seems like I traded the pain of being unemployed for a greater pain. You know, I learned if I had a little bit more patience, took a little bit more time to make a better decision in regards to fit, I would have found a more suitable role. That experience taught me that relief and alignment are not always the same thing. So think about this. Fear isn't always obvious. Sometimes it sounds responsible. Here's some examples. I just need something that works. I can't afford to waste any more time. I need to make money now. There's an underlying root of fear in every one of those statements. Those thoughts, they're understandable, but if fear becomes the loudest voice in the room, it often chooses your future for you. Yeah, so fear, it can cause people to choose these opportunities that they dislike, opportunities that they don't understand, opportunities that they cannot even sustain. Now, when I look at that position or that labor work that I used as an example, it's I disliked it, didn't understand it, and I could not sustain it. And oftentimes because we're trying to escape pain rather than build a future. And in my case, I escaped one level of pain for a more intense level of pain. Um, anyways, there's a difference between moving away from something and moving towards something. One is driven by fear, the other driven by purpose. Purpose doesn't remove the urgency per se, but it gives it direction. It helps guide it in a safe, healthy way, if I could say it that way. Now, when I feel myself rushing toward a decision, I ask myself one question first. Am I choosing this because I'm afraid or because it genuinely fits the future I'm trying to build? See, that simple question became the first part of what I now call the decision compass. Over the next few minutes, we're going to explore three areas: fear, comparison, and alignment. because once you understand them, making decisions becomes much clearer. The next one that's almost all of us fallen into, and social media has made it even harder to avoid, it's comparison. We talked about fear, second, comparison. And it quietly convinces us that everyone else knows something that we don't. Let's talk about that. Comparison, it's sneaky. It rarely announces itself. Instead, it sounds like this. Maybe I should be doing what they're doing. Maybe I'm already too late. Maybe everyone else has figured this out except me. Now, I've learned comparison does not work because whoever I'm comparing myself to, we are two very distinctly different people in two very distinctly different places in life. Everything about us is different. Could be some similar qualities, but in essence, we're different. So comparison in that facet is not even reasonable, right? There's different things that we go through that encourage this. Um, YouTube, for example, watching YouTube videos, YouTube makes success look quick. It's not that YouTube is doing something deceitful. It's just when you watch YouTube videos, the people that you're watching, they all potentially look successful already. Social media in general rarely shows the years of trial and error that people go through before they become successful. We compare our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. It's like we're comparing ourselves, and when we do so, it's all the wrong we've done, all the mistakes we've made. With all of that backstory, we're comparing it to this individual that we're watching, and all we see is their highlight, their best moment. It doesn't even make sense when you think about it that way. Every creator's situation is different, every single one. I've had moments where I looked at what someone else was building and thought, maybe I should be doing that instead. I can't tell you how many times I thought that. Maybe I should be doing that instead. But every time I would consider chasing someone else's path instead of asking whether it fit me, and I have chased a few other paths for that reason, I ended up feeling less motivated, not more, depleted, didn't feel right. And here's what I've learned: comparison doesn't create clarity, it creates doubt. And doubt makes every opportunity look uncertain. So the more you compare your path to someone else's, the harder it becomes to recognize your own. Think about that. Now we've gone through two decision traps. That's fear and comparison. Decision trap number three, choosing from purpose instead of pressure. This is where everything starts to come together. Fear asks, how do I get out of this? Not rid of this, how do I get out of this? And comparison asks, why am I not where they are? Purpose asks, what kind of life am I actually trying to build? Purpose isn't just about passion, it's about direction. It's about building work that supports your values, your family, your health, your financial goals, your lifestyle, all of it. Purpose doesn't eliminate difficult days, but it gives difficult days meaning, which empowers you to get through every difficult day. So last week, we introduced uh, the Midlife Income Fit Filter, which is 5 questions to help you evaluate opportunities. This week, we've just looked at the decision compass, 3 questions to help you evaluate your thinking. One evaluates opportunities, one evaluates your thinking. Together, they create a much stronger way of making decisions. Okay, so look, you can have it this way. Decision making compass evaluates the fear, comparison, and the person and the purpose, the things that we're thinking. And then you have the midlife income fit filter, excuse me, experience, personality. It's evaluating, does it fit your current experience? Does the opportunity fit your current personality, your current lifestyle, your current season of life, your long-term vision? So each has their particular role. Notice the order though. First, you check your mindset through the fear, comparison, and purpose with the decision compass. And then you evaluate the opportunity with the midlife income fit filter. If you skip the first step, it's easy to choose something that looks good on paper, but doesn't fit the life you're trying to build, right? So they work hand in hand together. See, I'll give you an example again from my personal experience. Um, just to talk about a decision in my own journey that became clearer once I stopped reacting to urgency and started thinking about more long-term fit. Um, it's in relation to my current work that I'm doing right now in this business, making these videos, helping midlife professionals. Um, Leaving the labor work, I got to a place where I saw the impact of making a decision, a bad decision based on urgency, and how I suffered from it. And I couldn't do that again. Um, so in transitioning to what I'm doing now, I took the time to go through that um, midlife income fit filter experience to evaluate how my next role would fit my experience, personality, lifestyle, season of life, and long-term vision. And especially with the experience that I had working as a career coach, working as a career counselor for 15 years, it started there. And it does fit and suit my personality, lifestyle, because I'm doing this from home. It 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 accommodates my health and time with my family and just different things. It fits right now. It fits, and it will fit for the long term, right? Um, that's how important that is. I don't even want to think of what it would feel like to have made another decision out of urgency to go to another type of work that's just going to create just more chaos in your life. And I don't think you want that either. So that's my example. Now, I want to leave you with a question. If fear wasn't making the decision, what would you choose? And if comparison wasn't making the decision, what would you choose? And if purpose was leading the way, what would your next step look like? Sometimes the answer has been there all along. It just couldn't be heard over all the noise and chaos. Think about it. So here's this week's Midlife Reinvention Challenge. This week, I'd like you to do something simple. Take a notebook, draw 3 columns, and label them. One's fear, one's labeled comparison, one's labeled purpose. Now think about one opportunity you've been considering. Write down every reason you're attracted to it, everything that attracts you to that particular opportunity. Then ask yourself, is this coming from fear? Is this coming from comparison? Or is this coming from purpose? You might be surprised by what you discover. And it doesn't have to be just one. You might be interested in 2 or 3. Just do it separately for each of them and observe the outcome. It might surprise you. This conversation helped you think differently about your next chapter. I'd love to help you take the next step. If you're still sorting through your options, start with my free 15-minute reset. It's designed to help you slow down, clear your head, and focus on what really matters. If you're ready to explore your direction in more depth, the Clarity Reset Workbook. It will guide you through practical exercises that build on today's conversation. And if you like more personal guidance, you can book a midlife clarity session where we'll work through your unique situation together, one to one, on a Zoom call, and identify your next intentional step. You'll find the links to everything in this description below. Next week, we're going to tackle something that almost everyone experiences, but very few people understand: why confidence doesn't come before action, and how to start moving even when you still have doubts. I think it's one of the most important mindset shifts in the entire midlife reinvention framework. I hope you'll join me. I'd like to hear from you. Looking at the decision compass, which one challenges you the most right now? Fear, comparison, or purpose? Share your answer in the comments. I'd love to read every one of them. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode helped you, consider subscribing so you don't miss next week's conversation. Until next time, keep building your next chapter, one intentional decision at a time.